I'm super excited because we're putting the turbo on right now. I finally finished up a few things at work, and so now I can put my own turbo on, which is great. I was going to show you guys a few things having to do with the install. Check this out. So I built this little custom Y piece to hook up to my exhaust or whatever. This is just an engine exhaust that came with the car, and I just made the piece to hook to it because I just didn't think I needed anything bigger than this. This piece right here is 3-inch all the way up until right here. This right here necks down to a 2.5-inch V-band clamp, and then from here all the way up into the engine bay is 2.5-inch. So when we go to this new turbo, the exhaust wheel is bigger than 2.5-inch, and obviously you can see from the outlet that's full 3-inch pretty much. So I got a new 3-inch V-band, and I got some piping here, and we're gonna go ahead and switch out some of that stuff and get the turbo in this car. Can't even wait. Okay, let's get to business. Okay, so now you guys can see it from the top. I got the intake pipe out of the way, kind of laid it over to the side, and you can see that this is the size of the old housing. It's got this 4-bolt flange with a 2.5-inch downpipe. And you can see I have my air conditioning line pulled up and out of the way. And I'm missing that coolant line that would normally occupy a lot of the space right here. So with that being gone, I do think I can fit a 3-inch downpipe. I just come up a little higher and then go down, but I think I can get a 3-inch downpipe in now because we moved that line out of the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish unbolting the rest of this turbo, and then we'll get to do a few things like maybe compare the wheel size and stuff. And we can kind of see the difference between this old one and the new one. I got the turbos off and I'm kind of looking at them side by side. I'll give you guys kind of like a top view. You can tell that the precision is a bit bigger on the intake side. That's not exactly what I was going for. I was kind of trying to do something kind of similar. I was assuming that this was closer to 61 millimeters, so I thought a 62 precision would be similar, but this actually ends up being 57 millimeters, and this is 62 millimeters, so we get a little bit bigger on the cold side. But the thing that's most important is obviously the other side. I'm going to go ahead and take off the turbo back housing here, and we'll take a look at what those measure. Okay, we got this off, and we measured the inducer and exducer, and I've got the results, but I wrote them on the board because it's just easier to see. Okay, so on the precision, the intake, this is the cold side, was 62 millimeters, and the Rev 9 was 57 millimeters, and the exhaust was 73.5 by 66, and the old turbo was only 70 by 61. So we have like 5 millimeters on the outlet and 3.5 millimeters on the overall biggest size of the exhaust wheel. I'm hoping that that will be enough to get the back pressure down. So obviously we're combining that with this much bigger housing. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt that one onto here, and we can pretty much start reinstalling it. Hey, okay, so I didn't film much of it because it was like a super frustrating process, but I went ahead and I got the 3-inch exhaust into the car. Super hard to do. I'm like really glad that I have my coolant relocate kit that gets rid of the coolant water pipe that goes down the side of the engine on the driver's side, because that thing would have made it impossible to fit the pipe in there. It's like there's no room on that side of the engine. So anyway, I was able to sneak a 3-inch pipe in there and get some V-bands on it and whatnot. Awesome. I started up the other day. The 3-inch is way deeper of a sound than the 2.5-inch was, so I'm really pleased with how that came out. So basically the only difference now is that we put the precision turbo with the bigger back housing and the bigger wheel, and now the 3-inch downpipe. So we basically just got rid of the back pressure, hopefully. So I'm gonna bleed the coolant out of it. I did end up changing the radiator because when I was changing the turbo, I found a hairline crack in my stock radiator. So I put the aluminum radiator with the Mishimoto radiator fans. We'll see if they keep the car cooler than the stock stuff. But I changed that, so I gotta fill up the coolant. Once I get that bled out, then we're just gonna go onto the dyno. I still have the back pressure sensor, so we'll be able to do like almost an exact back-to-back comparison and see if we pick the right turbo and if this got the back pressure down. And then my goal is to slowly climb the horsepower up. So, okay, I'm gonna bleed the coolant, we'll get on the dyno. Okay, I made the first 2 dyno pulls with the new turbo, and we kind of had some interesting results. We have 15 pounds of back pressure at like 4 pounds of boost. I accidentally put the 5-pound spring in. So the back pressure is still pretty high. We might not be done with this boost back pressure issue yet after all. Okay, so at 5 PSI more or less, we're making 15 pounds of back pressure. It's gonna be high, no matter what. Higher than I'm comfortable with, and even though the Precision's just gonna make more horsepower because it's a better turbo and it's slightly less, restricted, it's not gonna be what I need or what I want it to do. So, I've been thinking, and I gotta come up with a solution, but my assumption now is that this eBay style turbo kit, which is basically, built off the same template as the old Turbonetics turbo kit, is just simply a recipe for high back pressure, and that there's like gotta be a way to alleviate the back pressure on this kit, or I guess you have 3 options. Option 1 is just to keep it at 400 or less horsepower and about 8 pounds of boost, or option 2 would be take the turbo kit back off and get a more efficient one. And option 3 is I'm gonna sleep on it for a couple of days and see if I can come up with a solution that I can do to get rid of the back pressure. I was looking under the car and I noticed something pretty substantial, and I don't know why I didn't notice this before, or maybe I just didn't think it was an issue. But we already know that this kit's a T3, which a T3 on a 3.5 liter V6 is kind of a small turbo. But what I didn't realize was each bank, so like when you go from the driver's side bank of cylinders and the passenger side bank, they're like a 2-inch primary pipe, and that primary pipe wise into another 2-inch pipe. So literally it crosses over a 2-inch and goes into 2-inch. So the entire motor is trying to breathe out of one 2-inch pipe and go through the turbo. Like, how was that ever gonna work for back pressure? So that's a pretty big problem. Like, obviously the 2 primary pipes aren't probably an issue at 2 inches, but certainly the connection pipe with that massive amount of engine going through there, putting a 3.5 liter even on the turbo side through like a 2-inch pipe, it's gonna make quick spool, and I think they were only ever trying to make 400 or 500 horsepower, so it was adequate for that, but certainly not much more. And I do think that that's why a lot of these 350Zs have blown up over the years. Anytime they tried to turn up the boost or make more power on this style turbo kit, they were really good for like 370 to like 450 is about the highest. And after that, people tend to just blow up. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna sleep on it and see what I can figure out. I'm trying not to be like super bummed out about my results right now, because obviously that turbo was like $2,000 and it didn't fix anything. But I mean, at least I can make these mistakes and I can show you guys what to do to fix yours, because I'm starting to think that the turbo itself wasn't the biggest problem. It's probably just the manifold. So, man, I feel dumb for not noticing it earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and think about what I can do to fix it, and I'll just see you guys in the next video. It'll probably be like 7 to 10 days, but I'm gonna find a solution and we're gonna make that 500 horsepower plus number. All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.